Santiago Idarraga in Retifilo Partenza is first. Announcer bot is active. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is first. Julian Cachado from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is first. Esteban Gomez from Colombia is third. Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia is P5. Gerson Robia from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is 8th. Julian Cachado is 9th. Ricardo Pineda in Cabedal Serralio is third. Jean-Pierre Perrin from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is 9th. Julian Cachado in Curva Parabolica is first. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in Retifilo Partenza is first. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia is P2. The qualification session is at Autodromo di Monza in Monza, MI, Italy. The wind speed is 1 km/h from the south-southwest. Juan Garcia from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is P1. From Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is P9. Juan Garcia in Cuba del Serrallo is P1. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in Retifilo Partenza is P10. Juan Garcia in Retifilo Partenza is P11. Juan Garcia is up 12.27 in Cuva Biasono. Juan Garcia is up 12.12 in Prima Cuva de Lesmo. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia in Cuva Parabolica is P1. Juan Garcia in Retifilo Partenza is 12. Juan Garcia is up 10.22 in Cuva Biasono. Juan Garcia is up 10.22 in Prima Cuva de Lesmo. J.Enriquez from Colombia is second up 0.11. Gerson Robia from Colombia in Cavabayasono is first up 0.12. J.Enriquez from Colombia is second up 0.49. Gerson Robia is P1 up 0.18. Ten minutes remaining in the session. Gerson Robia is up 0.31 in Variante Ascari. Gerson Robia improved his first with a 1:44.957. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia in Variante Ascari is P10 up 1.13. Ricardo Pineda is 8th up 1.27. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in Cava Parabolica is 5th up 1.27. Jean-Pierre Ferrand improved his second with a 1:45.423. 0.466 off pole. Jose Miguel Moncada from Colombia in Variante Ascari is P5 up 0.44. Best lap is a 1:46.975. 2.018 off pole. Jose Miguel Moncada improved his fourth with a 1:46.616. 1.659 off pole. Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia is P11 up 1.00. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is up 6.35 in Cava Parabolica. Gerson Robia in Variante Ascari is P2 up 0.14. Best lap is a 1:44.957. 0.413 off pole. Gerson Robia is provisional pole with a 1:44.571. Julian Caicedo is 12th up 1.58. Esteban Gomez from Colombia in Curva Parabolica is P10. Esteban Gomez improved his P8 with a 147.359. 2.815 off pole. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in Variante Ascari is P7 up 0.69. Best lap is a 147.208. 2.664 off pole. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Gerson Robia is second. Gerson Robia is up 0.37 in Curva del Serrallo. Gerson Robia is up 0.36 in Curva Parabolica. Gerson Robia is provisional pole with a 144.444. Yanli from China is 9th up 1.20. Yanli improved his 6th with a 146.297. 1.853 off pole. Yanli is up 0.02 in Prima Variante. Jose Miguel Moncada in Prima Variante is 7th up 0.13. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.28 in Variante della Raja. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.71 in Curva del Serrallo. Gerson Robia is provisional pole with a 144.259. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.69 in Curva Parabolica. Jose Miguel Moncada improved his P5 with a 145.795. 1.536 off pole. J.Enriquez is P6 up 1.35. J.Enriquez improved his third with a 144.704. 0.445 off pole. Gerson Robia in Curva Biasono is first. Best lap is a 144.259. Juan Garcia is second. Best lap is a 1:44.544. .285 off pole. Jose Miguel Moncada in Variante Ascari is P6 up 0.18. Jose Miguel Moncada improved his fourth with a 1:45.300. 1.041 off pole. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Juan Garcia in Cavabayasono is P2. The race session is at Autodromo di Monza in Monza, MI, Italy. The wind speed is 1 km/h from the west-southwest. Gerson Robia is first. Juan Garcia from Colombia is P2. J.Enriquez from Colombia is P3. Jose Miguel Moncada from Colombia is P4. Santiago Idarraga from Spain is 5th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia is 6th. Yanli from China is 7th. Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia is 8th. Esteban Gomez from Colombia is 9th. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia is P10. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia is P11. Julian Cachado from Colombia is P12. Gerson Robia from Colombia is first. Race start. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is 5th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand entering the pits is P12. Ricardo Pineda is 5th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand exiting pits. J.Enriquez is 7th. J.Enriquez is now P6. Jose Miguel Moncada is 9th. Julian Cachado is P5. Yanli is 8th. Yanli lost 8th to Jose Miguel Moncada. Jose Miguel Moncada in Cuba Parabolica is 10, 0.5 behind Santiago Idarraga. Yanli entering the pits is P9. Jose Miguel Moncada is now 9th. Santiago Idarraga in Prima Variante on lap 2 is 8th. 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Juan Pablo Aristizabal entering the pits is P12. Julian Cachado is P6, 0.1 behind J.Enriquez. J.Enriquez is P6. J.Enriquez passed Julian Cachado for 5th. Santiago Idarraga in Variante Ascari on lap 2 is P8, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Santiago Idarraga passed Ricardo Pineda for P7. Juan Pablo Aristizabal exiting pits. Ricardo Pineda is 8th. Ricardo Pineda passed Santiago Idarraga for 7th. Ricardo Pineda lost P7 to Santiago Idarraga. Santiago Idarraga is P8. Julian Cachado is P6. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia in Variante della Raja is 8, 0.1 behind Santiago Idarraga. Is 9th, 1.0 behind Ricardo Pineda. Santiago Idarraga in Cuba Parabolica is P8, 1.7 ahead of Ricardo Pineda. Santiago Idarraga is now P7. J.Enriquez in Redivilo Partenza is 10, 0.5 behind Jean-Pierre Perrin. J.Enriquez passed Julian Cachado for 5th. Sebastian Sepulveda in Variante della Raja is P4. Best lap is a 1:48.376. 3.579 off the fastest lap. Sebastian Sepulveda lost 4th to J.Enriquez. Yanli exiting pits. Jean-Pierre Perrin in Variante della Raja is P10, 0.5 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Yanli entering the pits is P12. Jose Miguel Moncada in second. Dacuba de Lesmo is 10th, 0.1 behind Jean-Pierre Perrin. Jean-Pierre Perrin in Variante Ascari is 9th, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Jean-Pierre Perrin passed Ricardo Pineda for 8th. Ricardo Pineda is P9 battling Jean-Pierre Perrin. Julian Caicedo in Prima Variante is P6, 0.3 behind Sebastian Sepulveda. Yanli exiting pits. Ricardo Pineda is P8, 0.9 ahead of Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Ricardo Pineda lost 8 to Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Julian Caicedo is P6, 0.5 behind Sebastian Sepulveda. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia in Variante Ascari is P6 battling Julian Caicedo. Juan Garcia is P1, 3.3 ahead of Gerson Robia. Julian Caicedo in Cavabiasono is P5, 2.5 ahead of Sebastian Sepulveda. Jose Miguel Moncada exiting pits. Juan Garcia is P1, 3.2 ahead of Gerson Robia. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia is 8th, 3.9 behind Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Sebastian Sepulveda lost P8 to Ricardo Pineda. J.. Enriquez is P4. J.. Enriquez lost P4 to Julian Caicedo. Sebastian Sepulveda is P9, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. J.. Enriquez entering the pits is P5. Sebastian Sepulveda is now P8. Jose Miguel Moncada in Cava Parabolica is P10. Juan Pablo Aristizabal entering the pits is 11th. Jose Miguel Moncada passed J.. Enriquez for 9th. Sebastian Sepulveda in Variante della Raja is 8th, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P6. Best lap is a 1:44.691. Juan Pablo Aristizabal exiting pits. Sebastian Sepulveda in Cuba Parabolica is 8th, 1.1 behind Ricardo Pineda. Ricardo Pineda was 14.3 faster last lap. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P6, 0.9 behind Santiago Idarraga. Sebastian Sepulveda in Variante della Raja on lap 8 is P8, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Juan Garcia is second, 0.3 behind Gerson Rovia. Juan Garcia passed Gerson Rovia for first. Sebastian Sepulveda from Colombia is 8th, 0.8 behind Ricardo Pineda. J.Enriquez exiting pits. Santiago Idarraga is P6, 1.4 behind Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Jose Miguel Moncada in Redovillo Partenza is 9th. Jose Miguel Moncada entering the pits is 9th. Sebastian Sepulveda in Variante della Raja is 8th, 3.2 behind Ricardo Pineda. Jose Miguel Moncada is 9th. Santiago Idarraga in Variante Ascari is P6, 1.8 behind Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Jean-Pierre Ferrand was 2.4 faster last lap. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in Redovillo Partenza is 5th, 1.5 behind Julian Cacheto. Jose Miguel Moncada exiting pits. J.Enriquez is P10. Santiago Idarraga is 6th, 0.8 behind Julian Cacheto. Juan Garcia entering the pits is first. Juan Garcia on lap 11 is second, 3.5 behind Gerson Rovia. Yanli is 12th. Juan Garcia on lap 11 is fourth, 1.0 ahead of Julian Caicedo. Juan Garcia exiting pits. Juan Garcia lost P5 to Santiago Idarraga. Sebastian Sepulveda is P8. Sebastian Sepulveda entering the pits is 8th. Sebastian Sepulveda exiting pits. Santiago Idarraga in Prima Curva de Lesmo on lap 11 is P5, 0.5 behind Julian Caicedo. Julian Caicedo in Curva del Seraglio is P5. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia is P3. Santiago Idarraga entering the pits is P5. Santiago Idarraga is P6, 1.6 behind Juan Garcia. Jose Miguel Moncada in Redifilo Partenza is P9. Caicedo is P4. Best lap is a 1:46.893. 2.782 off the fastest lap. Santiago Idarraga exiting pits. Gerson Robia in Redifilo Partenza is P1. Ricardo Pineda is 6th. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in Redifilo Partenza is 11th battling Yanli. Julian Caicedo in Variante della Raja is 4th, 0.8 ahead of Juan Garcia. Julian Caicedo lost 4th to Juan Garcia. Jose Miguel Moncada from Colombia in Curva del Seraglio is P9. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in Retifilo Partenza is P3. Jean-Pierre Ferrand entering the pits is P3. Julian Caicedo entering the pits is 5th. Julian Caicedo is P5. Esteban Gomez in Variante della Raja is P2. Yanli entering the pits is 12th. Julian Caicedo is 6th. Sebastian Sepulveda entering the pits is P7. Julian Caicedo exiting pits. Julian Caicedo passed Jean-Pierre Ferrand for P5. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P6. Jean-Pierre Ferrand exiting pits. Gerson Robia entering the pits is 1st. Gerson Robia is P1. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in Prima Variante is 7th, 0.6 behind Santiago Idarraga. Esteban Gomez entering the pits is 2nd. Esteban Gomez is 2nd. Sebastian Sepulveda exiting pits. Yanli exiting pits. Yanli in Retifilo Partenza is P12. Gerson Robia exiting pits. Esteban Gomez is 3rd. Esteban Gomez exiting pits. Ricardo Pineda entering the pits is P4. Ricardo Pineda is P4. Julian Caicedo in Curva Parabolica is P5. Gerson Robia in Prima Curva de Lesmo is P1, 2.3 ahead of Juan Garcia. Julian Caicedo is P6, 0.7 behind Santiago Idarraga. Julian Caicedo exiting pits. Ricardo Pineda exiting pits. J.Enriquez is 10th. Yanli entering the pits is 12th. Yanli exiting pits. Esteban Gomez in Curva Parabolica is P3. Juan Garcia in Prima Curva de Lesmo is P2, 3.3 behind Gerson Robia. J.Enriquez in Variante Ascari is 10th. Sebastian Sepulveda in Prima Variante is 8th. Juan Pablo Aristizabal exiting pits on Supers. J.Enriquez in Capivayasono is P10. Gerson Robia in Cabedal Serralio is first, 2.1 ahead of Juan Garcia. Julian Cachado is P6. Gerson Robia in Prima Variante is P1, 1.9 ahead of Juan Garcia. Juan Garcia in Prima Capadilesmo is second, 1.3 behind Gerson Robia. Santiago Idarraga in Retabilo Partenza is P5. Santiago Idarraga entering the pits is P5. Julian Cachado entering the pits is 6th. Sebastian Sepulveda on lap 17 is P8. Julian Cachado is P5, 0.9 ahead of Ricardo Pineda. Julian Cachado exiting pits. Julian Cachado lost 5th to Ricardo Pineda. Santiago Idarraga exiting pits. Juan Garcia in Prima Variante is second, 1.8 behind Gerson Robia. Yanli in Prima Variante is P12, 0.3 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Cachado in Variante Ascari on lap 18 is 6th, 4.0 ahead of Santiago Idarraga. Esteban Gomez in Cava del Serrallo is 3rd. Juan Garcia is 2nd, 2.9 behind Gerson Robia. Ricardo Pineda in Cava del Serrallo is P5, 2.7 ahead of Julian Cachado. Gerson Robia is P1, 3.3 ahead of Juan Garcia. Julian Cachado in Prima Variante is P6, 1.5 ahead of Santiago Idarraga. Yanli in Prima Variante is P12, 1.0 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Juan Pablo Aristizabal was 2.3 faster last lap. J.Enriquez from Colombia is P10. Santiago Idarraga in Retifilo Partenza is P7, 1.0 behind Julian Cachado. Gerson Robia in Cava Biasono is P1, 2.9 ahead of Juan Garcia. Julian Cachado in Variante della Raja is P7, 0.4 behind Santiago Idarraga. Julian Cachado passed Santiago Idarraga for P6. Sebastian Sepulveda is P8, 0.4 behind Santiago Idarraga. Sebastian Sepulveda passed Santiago Idarraga for 7th. Santiago Idarraga is 8th. Best lap is a 1:44.575. 0.840 off the fastest lap. Sebastian Sepulveda in Variante Ascari is P8. Best lap is a 1:47.255. 3.520 off the fastest lap. The leader has just finished the race. Gerson Robia finished first. Juan Garcia finished second. Julian Cachado finished P6. Santiago Idarraga finished 7th. Sebastian Sepulveda finished P8. J.Enriquez finished P10. Juan Pablo Aristizabal finished P11. Jose Miguel Moncada finished 9th. Yanli finished 12th. Esteban Gomez finished P3. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P4. Jean-Pierre Ferrand finished 4th. Ricardo Pineda is P5. Ricardo Pineda is 5th. Ricardo Pineda is P5. Ricardo Pineda is 5th. Ricardo Pineda is P5. Ricardo Pineda is P5.